It doesn't seem like spring to me until I've had asparagus, and usually I just steam it or boil it in pieces and eat it plain. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to combine that with the benefit of having the chickens out in the garden this year. So we're going to use some eggs in this too, and I'm going to make a ham and asparagus strata. It's very simple. You can do some of it ahead of time, have it ready to go. You can also use the microwave for a lot of it and shorten the time. I'm going to use the regular oven, however. I've got 12 to 16 pieces of French or Italian bread, cut about ½ inch thick. We're just going to layer those in an 8-inch square pan. Now it's important if you're going to do this in the microwave that you make sure that it will go a pan that's microwave safe. Then I have about 8 ounces, 1½ to 2 cups of asparagus. We'll layer that in. 2 cups of low-fat part-skim mozzarella cheese. Put half of that in at this time. And the same with the ham. I've got about 4 ounces of ham that is chopped up fairly well. Don't have to go too extreme. And all of these things can be done ahead of time. In fact, they can be leftovers. So this makes a great thing for a brunch or an evening meal. Now just going to repeat that. Do the same layers again. Again, more of the bread. Top that with cheese. And you don't have to make sure the layers are going on in quite the same way. You just want them on in the same levels of the strata. Some more asparagus. Now, asparagus is a wonderful thing. It comes off early in the spring so that it kind of gives you that fresh taste of fresh vegetables coming out of the garden earlier than most other things. And it's a really good source of potassium, which is something that a lot of people think that they have to eat tomatoes or bananas or potatoes for, but asparagus is also an excellent source. Now, one of the things that is interesting to me is that most of the time we think of excellent source, good sources, so, you know, it tastes excellent or it really tastes good to me. And it's just sort of a nebulous term. It's sort of subjective. But in actuality, those terms are defined by the federal government. So that if you want to say something is a good source, it has to have at least 25% or more of the U.S. Daily allowances in there. And if you want to say it's an excellent source, then you have to say, then it has to have at least 40% of that nutrient in it. I've got 6 large eggs here, and I've added to it 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and make sure you use fresh because the bottled type really has a bottled flavor, so that's the one thing you want to make sure is fresh. And then to that I'm also adding a cup of fat-free or low-fat milk. Mix those up as nicely as you can. A whisk works best, and then just pour that over. Now some stratas like this require that you make them the night ahead and they sit in the refrigerator overnight and everything gets soaked together. This one you don't have to do that. You can go directly from this step to the oven. Have your oven preheated at 350 degrees. You don't have to cover this at all. It goes in at 350 for somewhere between 40 and 45 minutes. You should use an oven thermometer to make sure that it's done. It should read 160 degrees in the center. Hopefully you have an oven thermometer, otherwise you need to use a knife to make sure that it's set well. You don't want to overcook it. It will then separate on you later. If you undercook it, you run the risk of foodborne bacteria still being present in it. As I said, this goes in about 40-45 minutes. If you want to cook it in a microwave, you cover it with plastic wrap at this point. Put it in at 50% power for about 5 minutes. Rotate it 3 to 5 more minutes, and again, you're going to check it with the oven thermometer. Make sure you've got it up to 160. Very easy. You have here an example of a slice that comes out. This makes 6 servings. It is really great for a brunch. It also is really good for a meal after work. It gives you some time. If you have everything cut and chopped, it takes just a couple of minutes to combine it together. You have something that's fresh, fairly light. Mix that with a green salad. Concern here for a lot of folks is going to be the amount of cholesterol in here. It's going to be a little over 235 or so, 250 milligrams of cholesterol, depending on the size of egg that you use. Remember that you're allowed to have 300 milligrams, so what you want to do is when you have this, make sure you focus on the rest of the day and keep the cholesterol count low there. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.